what's going on in the world today ain't exactly clear. All I know is I can't believe anything that you hear. Vigilant Alaskan, bringing you truth in the last frontier.
All right, everyone, and welcome to the first edition of the weekly news roundup for Vigilant Alaskan. It's something we're going to start doing on a weekly basis here. Cover a little more national stuff, just the biggest stories from the week, according to my opinion. So, of course, we have to start with the attempted assassination on President Trump the second, of course. Um, so the what we know so far, the assailant, would-be assassin Ryan Wesley Routh, he is in custody. He apparently had been staked out at the Trump golf course, where Trump plays golf regularly on the weekends, usually. For about 12 hours when the police came upon him, he found that he had a backpack with SKS rifles, scope, food. He had body armor, as well as a GoPro. Apparently, he planned to live stream his attempt on president's life, and so there's a lot of questions around this guy. This isn't quite. We probably know more about him than the first attempted assassin. This guy was big Biden Harris supporter. He's gung ho on the Ukraine war. Actually, even was working with different NGOs and the Ukrainian government to some capacity to recruit people to fight in the Ukrainian army. So, again, we're wondering who's this guy's not acting alone. Obviously, he's claiming apparently he has very limited resources. Claims to only have two vehicles back in Hawaii. So, how does a guy like this get to Florida? Like he's a felon with quite a rap sheet. A lot of theft and some weapons charges. In 2002, he got a weapons of mass destruction charge, a possession of weapons of mass destruction, which is crazy. Uh, I don't know too many people with that one. Saddam Hussein, that's about it, allegedly. But so again, this guy's in custody. The DOJ did something strange in the last, I think it was today or yesterday, published a letter that he had wrote in case he was not successful in this attempt, in which he put out that he had a $150,000 bounty on President Trump. And so the DOJ is getting some criticism for even posting that, basically advertising this guy's bounty for him. Um, but when they searched his property and vehicles, they found that he had several phones, so it'd be interesting to see where those phones are going, who he's calling, again, who's supporting this guy. And he had a handwritten itinerary for President Trump, which is that was one another strange thing about this is that this golf outing was not on any public itinerary for President Trump. So, this is showing that there's so it's an inside job to some capacity. And President Trump and his Secret Service detail or his private security has somebody who is leaking information to people like this. So, uh, yeah, that's about all that we know at this point. But you can't help but imagine that this won't be the last time something like this is attempted. So, hope President Trump stays safe out there. The next story is one that I could spend a whole hours on this alone. But Sean P. Diddy Combs arrested. He is in custody, been denied bail on charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. In unfortunately for him, the same prison that Jeffrey Epstein was held in. We don't know how that ended. And he's being called the Epstein of the music industry. And, people might look at this story and say, oh, this is just some entertainment tabloid gossip or whatever. But it's not. It is much more than that. And we're going to show you what exactly I mean by that. So let's get into how this whole thing came about. So, there's been a new lawsuit. There's been a couple lawsuits that have really got P. Diddy in hot water. There's this one from a former girlfriend, recording artist Cassie, who in the lawsuit is alleging sexual abuse and just all kinds of abuse, physical abuse. There's videos of it, and she's not the only woman to have. such a case against Diddy. So, but the one that kind of brought all this back up is one from Rodney Jones, aka Lil Rod. It's kind of the same sort of thing that Cassie was alleging, and that Combs is uh, making sexual advances on him, and assaulting him in ways that he didn't really approve of. And so, again, this gets into this just brings up a lot of questions because Diddy's pretty notorious in the music industry, and again, this has all kind of been building up. Like I said, this Cassie uh, lawsuit came out in 2007, and their relationship was between 2007 and 18 and 23. She brought the lawsuit against him. Now, of course, Diddy denies it. Diddy recently had his house raided too in was it LA? Yeah, and he was not present, so he wasn't arrested then. Um, there's some saying that he came to New York to cooperate with federal authorities. Now, when you start talking about somebody being the Epstein of the music industry, a lot of people are of a misconception about what Epstein even was. And it wasn't just some weird pervert who's, hitting on all these young girls. He was that, but this is an intelligence operation, right? This is the CIA and other intelligence agencies blackmailing people. Um, through sexual compromise. And so there's speculation that this has been going on for a long time because Diddy would have these freak out parties or whatever, and they're detailed in the lawsuits. Like I said, a lot of women have come forward in this against Diddy because they would be their drinks would be spiked with something, and like I said, and then come to find out that like Epstein, Diddy had cameras all throughout the house, and so there's a lot of people in the music industry are pretty quiet around Diddy's arrest. But a lot of people speculate this all started back when there was a shooting at a nightclub um, where J-Lo and Diddy were there, and this guy, Moses Shine Barrow, spent 10 years in prison. He took the fall for this. And some people are suggesting that there was a cleanup effort that came in and said, okay, well, we'll make this go away for you, but you're going to do this for us. And one of the things that makes this whole thing, there's puts an interesting spin on the whole thing is a really obscure story that none of you will probably remember. I vaguely remember it, but because it was just so bizarre back in 2018, and keep in mind this is before these lawsuits had come about. A man was arrested at Trump Doral with a gun. He fired a gun. She didn't hit anybody. It just like fired it into the ceiling or the wall or whatever, and nobody was hurt. And the police came and arrested him. And the interesting part of this story is that the man, Jonathan Audi, he was questioned by police, and they wondering what his motive is, and they have an interrogation that they posted on the internet. We're going to go over some clips of it here where he is talking about P Diddy and about how he's human trafficking and doing all of the selling drugs and everything else. And back then, before any of these lawsuits come out, he said he was one of Diddy's sex slaves. So when this happens with just the story by itself, you're like, okay, this guy's crazy. But as we look back on it now, guys, not so crazy. So we're just gonna go ahead and watch some clips here. He's talking about, Diddy's involvement in the Illuminati, things like that. So let's just go ahead and, first let's look at these clips that are gonna add a little bit more substance to these allegations against Diddy, and the fact that Diddy, this guy says he's Diddy's sex slave. Well, he's a guy. Well, apparently, uh, this is Usher talking about some of these parties, and people remember when Usher came on the scene. He was like 13. He's talking about some of these clips. So let's go ahead and watch this.
I moved to New York City. and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you
New
over
York
to something
City.
called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's what
Camp.
it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In the 90s. Do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle,
right?
And I saw it, and it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand it.
Biggie Smalls was there.
Biggie Smalls was there. Lil' Kim, Craig Mack.
All these people are hanging around.
Yeah, man. Faith Evans. Jodeci, Mary J. Blige. They didn't know nothing about this shit.
Oh.
I was having a good time, you know what I mean?
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 in the morning with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
And do you have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem. I had like,
what
like
a
living.
life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
See?
Okay, so this is Justin Bieber, who just watched this video. This is a video of someone being confronted by their abuser, in my humble opinion. But just watch Bieber's reaction.
I'm good. How are you?
Young brother, everything's good? Selling out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot. But you never really got my number, so.
Right. Okay.
My number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
It's 555.
Yeah. Okay. So here is this is the guy who shot up Trump Doral talking about Diddy and his involvement in the Illuminati.
Of the Illuminati. Illuminati. Yeah, Illuminati. Okay. They've made it in dance. Basically what it means, illuminated. Okay. They do satanic ritual abuse, which is basically CIA mind programming techniques to their own family, kids, etc. on the crew, and they bond that way. Okay, so they do sexual pedophilia, they do animal abuse, killing of animals, blood sacrifices, and everything in the Bohemian Grove. Okay.
So he goes into Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, he does, and like some people can think that is something that I'm like, oh, that's far-fetched now. Well, if people will remember, Kanye West, when he appeared on the Alex Jones show, they got all the headlines for talking about how Hitler invented the microphone or something ridiculous like that. But what everyone glossed over was his revelation of a personal trainer by the name of Harley Pasternak. This guy was a former Canadian intelligence operative, but is familiar to most as the personal trainer to people like Brittany Murphy and Heath Ledger and a number of people that had very suspicious deaths. And this is a text message from this Pasternak guy saying, I'm going to help you one of a couple ways. First, you and I sit down and have a loving and open conversation, but you don't use cuss words, and everything that is discussed is based in fact and not some crazy stuff that a friend of yours told you or you saw in a tweet. Second option, I have you institutionalized again, where they medicate the crap out of you and you go back to zombie land forever. Playdate with the kids just won't be the same. So, again, people want to brush that stuff aside, like, oh, that doesn't happen. Like, well, that's a pretty direct. Like I said, that was the thing that everyone should have been going crazy about from the Alex Jones Kanye interview, but for obvious reasons, it was pushed by the wayside. And so here's another interesting thing this guy talks about that has come to pass.
Animals.
He's talking about the lawyers that Diddy surrounds himself with.
Okay, and he belongs to that agenda. That's why he's so famous. They land all the contracts. It's his attorneys, which are Mark Garagos and Ben Mercedes. Ben Mercedes worked for Bad Boy Entertainment for 4 years and worked for Hillary Rodman for 5. Okay.
Now I think he's saying Hillary Rodham because he said Hillary Rodman.
Yeah, it's probably just he can't say Rodham.
Rodham. So she comes up a bunch here, but then listen.
When I take shot on the threat of death on me, okay?
He taped him threatening death on him.
I don't have it but I can make it available under secrecy. That means that I wouldn't be liable because I don't want to be getting blamed for anything. Okay. I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard a lot of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a sex slave. Okay, for them that's what I was. That's all. All right. I caught herpes, and I came back and I sued him for the herpes and won.
So he caught herpes from them.
From Cassie?
I don't know. He says I caught herpes. There's about 15 encounters.
That's weird because Usher has herpes too.
What?
Usher has herpes.
Where'd you find that out?
Some chick sued him for giving him herpes.
Really?
For giving her for getting herpes from him. Yeah.
I mean, I have to imagine that it's.
And he got it from Puff Daddy.
Because I do remember
it's
that.
the same strain.
No, I'm serious.
I did not pull the article up. So, again, when he talks about those attorneys, one of the attorneys is Michael Jackson's former attorney. And he says later on that these attorneys say that they killed Michael Jackson. And that really does seem to be the case. That's a whole other video. If you look up Razor Fist, Rageaholic on YouTube, he's got a great breakdown of all that Michael Jackson was innocent. And basically these lawyers were trying to ruin his reputation and take his estate because they wanted the royalties to all the music. And so this next clip, he's going to be talking about how this all ties back to Trump.
Now, how does this lead to war star Trump? Okay. The Mercedes family, Ben Mercedes, that works with Mark Garagos. Mark Garagos used to be Michael Jackson's attorney.
Yeah, out in Los Angeles.
Yeah. He had he drugged Michael and they OD'd him, okay? He didn't overdose. They OD'd him.
So he's saying that Michael's lawyer is the one that OD'd them. But he's getting around to where the Trump connection was and why he went to Trump's hotel and tried to do all this stuff. He said he was trying to get a message out to not only Trump but to Americans. So yeah.
Because they keep the royalties of the music. Michael alone made $860 million alone last year, okay, in 2017, which who keeps that royalty? The music companies. Who represents?
So I'm sorry to keep stopping it, but it's a little muffled. I want to make sure people in podcast land are getting this. He's just talking about the reasons why Michael was taken out there too. I mean, there was the royalties, and he was making. He said he claims in 2017 Michael made over $800 million just because of the royalties of the publishing rights that he owned for music, his own catalog and whatever the hell else. So he's just outlining the power structures that he was, being able to witness, at least operating in some limited capacity.
The media and entertainment in the United States, most of them, Mercedes does. Kenny Mercedes, which is Greenman Mercedes shot out of New York. Okay? So what they've been doing is they've been promoting a hate agenda against Trump. So people hate him. Okay? Because they know he is very alpha. Okay? Very alpha in the sense that he likes money, he likes to make money, and he likes women, and they know they want to defame him in certain ways. With Stormy, with other people, because they want him out of the government, okay?
So he's saying that the same people that were that had been called in and had gone there and pushed buttons on people like Michael Jackson, whatever, were also the ones that helped set up bringing people like Stormy Daniels to the fore to make problems for President Trump in the media. And he's saying that there is a very concerted hate agenda against Trump, that they want him out of the government, that he poses a problem because he's too alpha. And he's not, one thing.
Thanks for the translation there. Shout out to the Quite Frankly podcast is where I'm getting this video originally. And I'll go ahead and link this in the show notes if you want to go ahead and watch it. It's a really good breakdown of everything.
The Ciroc agenda. Okay?
It's about the drug dealer and how they use Ciroc as a
binge
front.
drinking poured out on a yacht. They promote binge drinking and drugs. Basically, what happens is following. The hip-hop agenda is an agenda to move drugs all over the United States. They move, you need to inform the DEA. They move all the dope, all the dope on private jets, which don't get screened by
customs,
by DEA, inside the United States. Okay, they move what's.
Now the only thing about this is I can see how that's one way that they do stuff. I can totally see that this is one partnership that is made to move things like drugs around and to influence one thing or another and get this stuff.
Yeah, of course, there's many others, but Yeah, so there's one more connection that's really interesting. A man named Fahim Muhammad is was Diddy's basically his fixer and a connection that he had in the LAPD. There's a couple instances of these shootings where, let's say something happens like that and they need to clean it up. Well, they call this guy. And so he goes later to be Diddy's head of security. And then he's also Michael Jackson's head of security. So another weird Michael Jackson Diddy connection. So where we're at now, Diddy's been denied bail. And again, he's in the same situation as Jeffrey Epstein, same jail and everything. So definitely something to keep an eye on here and what's going to happen. Who knows? But yeah. Anyways, on to the next story. This one was just so bizarre, and there isn't really there's not much to say other than what happened. President Trump at a rally in Tucson, and several rally goers ended up being hospitalized, all with the same strain, like temporary blindness. One woman, I think, I don't know if she's still blind or what the update is on these people, but they all seem to be suffering from this same eye ailment, unbearable pain, just that they're sitting behind President Trump at a rally. Um, Again, very bizarre. You can't help but think of like Havana syndrome or some kind of active denial or direct energy weaponry. Um, again, you got two assassination attempts on President Trump. Can't rule anything out as far as I'm concerned. So the last one is this pager attack by Israel on Hezbollah over there in Lebanon. This is just it's such a crazy story. Apparently the Israelis, initially there were two lines of thinking that the Israelis either infiltrated the supply chain of the Hezbollah, how they were getting these pagers, and implanted explosive devices in there, and then something, someone calls the pager number, and that's what sets it off. That does seem to be the prevailing theory. There was another idea that perhaps there's a way that they were administering some kind of cyber attack, and that it would heat up the pagers to the point where they would explode, and the lithium battery would be the catalyst in that. But again, it does appear actually that there was that they had infiltrated Hezbollah to the point where they could get into that supply chain and implant these explosive devices in the pagers. Now, again, this is just I'm gonna do a video on this in the larger picture. At this, Israel is playing over there in the Middle East, just trying to piss everybody off. See people celebrating this. I mean, this is a terrorist attack as far as I'm concerned. It wasn't just Hezbollah that had these pagers. There's something like 3,000 injured and 9 dead. One of them was a little girl bringing the pager to her dad, and killed her. And a lot of the people that were injured were civilians. And it's just par for the course with Israel. They don't have a draw distinction between their enemies and civilians. It's yeah, like I said, I'm going to be doing a video on the whole Israel Gaza situation later. Just hope that this doesn't lead to an escalation, but I don't see how it couldn't. Lebanon and its allies are going to do something eventually. So just pray for the people over there, and that somehow we can find a peaceful solution despite the Israelis' best efforts. All right, that's going to do it for the first weekly news roundup. Look out for these. It'll be coming out on Fridays usually. I'm a little behind this week, but hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch y'all later.